All right, class. Let's talk about now the graph. So now that you understand the term radians and you know that when you have radians, you should expect to see pi, right? So we're going from degrees to radians. Why? Why do we have to know that? Because we're now going to look at graphs of trig functions, right? So this will help you with page like 47 of the packet, 47, and some of those exercises that the county is asking you to do. But you have to understand just the graphs, just what the graphs look like, all right? So a circle can do this forever, right? Am I doing it the right way? A circle can do this forever. So if you take that circle and put it on a graph, it's going to make this wave pattern forever. Now, it doesn't start on the positive side of the x-axis. It will be on the negative side of the x-axis as well, right? But it's easier to understand the properties and just to understand the basics of the graph. Remember, this is distance learning. So if we just look at the positive side of the x-axis, all right? So let's just talk about, so what trig functions do we work with in Montgomery County Public Schools Curriculum 2.0 Algebra 2? Those three trig functions were sine, cosine, and tangent. I'm right now going to talk about sine of x. So if we had y equals sine of x, right? That's what this is. So let's remind ourselves a few things. This is 2 pi. If you go one complete cycle, and I'm going to give you some vocabulary for that. I'm just using just regular language right now. One complete cycle will put you at 2 pi. Notice I always start at 2 pi, because then it's easy to work backwards. Half of 2 pi, pi. Half of pi, pi over 2. And then this would be 3 pi over 2. You see how, so I'm talking, notice how plain this function is. It's just sine of x. Nothing being multiplied to it, nothing being subtracted from it, added to it. It's plain. That's how you know it's the parent function, right? The parent function for sine, it goes up to 1, so it has a maximum value at 1, and it's going to go a minimum value at -1. That's why on this graph it goes, you see 1 and -1. I'm doing the parent function. Now, you know, anytime we have graphs, you can have transformations. You can add stuff, subtract from, multiply stuff on, make it, what, stretch it out, compress it, stretch it horizontal. I mean, you can do all types of stuff to a function. We're talking about the parent function. We're just starting off, right? So what does the parent function do? It's going to start at the origin. So this is the sine function. It's going to start at the origin. It's going to hit at 2 pi. And it's going to hit the x-axis at pi. At pi over 2, it's going to have its maximum point. And at 3 pi over 2, it's going to reach its minimum point down here at -1. This is the parent function, okay? So it's not going to always be 1 and -1. If I apply transformations to this function, the maximum could be at 3, and then the minimum would be at -3. If the maximum is at 8, the minimum is at -8. We're talking about basic transformations right now, class. But we're not even talking about transformations. Let's talk about this parent function. So, what are we going to do? You see these 5 points? Point, 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 point. Connect the dots. That's what... That is what your parent sine function looks like. Only looking at it from the positive side of the x-axis. Okay? Why? It's easier. This is distance learning. Just keep it simple. Anybody have any questions? Good.